Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video. I don't know if when I get home I'm gonna have time to make this video tonight, so I figured I'd just do it now and make this another car video. So welcome back. I'm in Blackwood, your Silicon Valley sage sister, here to bring consciousness to the forefront of your daily life to make life a little kinder and simpler. So on Instagram the other day, I posted this Simon Sinek video, and it inspired me to come up with my own 3 rules for life. He did 5, but I was thinking to myself, if I was gonna come up with what I thought was the best 3 rules for life, what would that be? And so I came up with, think, always make sure you stop and think. I came up with, don't take yourself too seriously. Don't take the world too seriously. And make sure you learn the difference between when you should ask for help and when you should do things on your own. So let's get into it once I cross this intersection. Dude, turn signals. Thank you. Jeez Louise. People. Anyway, let's dig into our first. So I brought this one up before because number 1 comes from the most brilliant man I have ever met. Probably one of the most brilliant men anyone could ever meet in this time. Literally. I don't say that to brag. I say it because this man literally gets paid to think by companies like Apple. He worked for Lockheed Martin, I think, if I'm remembering that correctly. This man gets paid to be in think tanks. Seriously brilliant. So, if the one piece of advice that he would give to anybody is the one piece of advice that he would give to anybody, and I had the opportunity to be around him several times, and this was the one thing he always said when people would ask for his advice. I heard him say it every time we talked to him. And that was, make sure you take the time to slow down and think. Even if there's awkward silence, perceived awkward silence, it doesn't matter. Slow down and think everything out. And it's really important, because the other piece to this that he would teach people when he had the time to actually sit down and talk this out was this idea of being able to come to the rational and logical conclusion rather than functioning from a place of emotional aggravation, I think would be the best way to put it. So this would come down to things like, thinking through the fact that, oh, I was triggered by this, not because you actually did it, but because my dad used to do it and that bothered me. So now you doing it bothers me. Things like that. Being able to stop and think in conversation. Things like making sure that you are being impeccable with your word. One of the 4 agreements. These were the key things that he talked about. Because when we take that time to slow down and think, we can be impeccable with our word. Making sure we think out what we want to say before we say it. And then also taking that time to think to make sure that we deconstruct things a little bit, so that we can start operating from a wider perception rather than just the singular moment. Which leads me into the next one, not taking ourselves and the world too seriously. Being able to function from a place of levity. Being able to function from not taking ourselves or the world too seriously is really, really important. Because it gives us, again, the ability for greater perception beyond our knee-jerk reactions. Being able to laugh at yourself, being able to laugh at situations, makes it so things aren't so frustrating. And why would you want to operate from a place of bad feelings? Why would you want to operate from a place of upset when you could be operating from the feelings of joy and, again, levity? I would choose joy every time, wouldn't you? So being able to not take things so seriously, being able to find the best possible outcome of any situation. Again, that's not turning around and saying that this situation is a good situation when it's not. Because, like, for instance, I talk in one of the fundraiser videos. Obviously, being in a car accident is not fun and is not a good situation. However, it can lead to the best possible outcome, which is, since it wasn't my car, I'm raising money to get this person their first ever new car. It's not that I'm saying the car accident is good, although part of being able to not take it too seriously and approach things with levity is saying, okay, this kind of sucked, but what is the best possible immediately going to the what is the best possible outcome? Being able to laugh at ourselves and recognize that mistakes are not failure. Failure is staying where you've fallen, not falling. And mistakes help us learn and grow. So recognizing that a mistake isn't a bad thing if you learn from it. So as long as you're willing to learn, approach things with a little more joy and positivity, you can start recognizing that mistakes mean that I'm learning and growing, not messing up. And that leads me to last but not least, because I wouldn't say these are necessarily in any particular order. I mean, the first one, I guess, is definitely number one, but these other two, I guess, are not in any particular order. Being able to recognize when we need to do things on our own versus when we should ask for help. Because there are times when it is good to ask for help. Absolutely. But there are also times where it is good to do something on your own. If you can make something easier for yourself, usually asking for help is the best solution, if it actually makes it easier. But there are absolutely times where it is important. Oh, I don't know what got in my eye, but I've got something in my eye all of a sudden. And it hurts. Anyway, there are times when it is important to do things on our own, so that we recognize that we can do it on our own. There are times when getting help from people is actually worse, because we don't build the strength, we don't build the confidence. There are all sorts of examples in life, like finally taking the training wheels off of your bike and not having your parents standing beside you anymore as you take off on your bicycle. How will you know that you can if you don't try? So there are times, you know, when I was learning how to do back, I was trying to come up with like an example, like push-ups or something, but it's not coming to me the way I'd want to. But I would think about like, or I thought about the time just now that back when my mom used to teach me how to do gymnastics, or when someone else was teaching me how to do gymnastics, when I was learning how to do back handsprings, for instance, you have a spotter, someone who is there to catch you in case you fall. But eventually, you have to let that spotter go and start doing them on your own. Because you can. You don't need it anymore, just like the training wheels. Eventually, you don't need them anymore. There are all sorts of things in life that are better to be done on your own. There are also things in life that are better done, easier done with help. And learning to know the difference is key. Learning to know the difference between when it is time to ask for help, because it would be, because there are some things, like for instance, never changing a tire on your own. What if you find yourself in a position where you have no cell phone service, but you have your spare tire in the back of the car? You have the jack and the wrenches in the back of the car, but you've never changed a tire on your own. Usually you call AAA or whoever to come do it for you. Then all of a sudden you find yourself in a position where you've never done this on your own. You've always had someone else do it for you. You might end up feeling scared even, frustrated. It might end up being 10 times harder than it needed to be because you just never did it once on your own. There are absolutely a time and a place. Even if you learn how to do it on your own, and then every other time you call and have someone do it for you, because you can. Because for you, that's easier. Or you might find, in fact, that waiting for them takes longer than just doing it yourself. But either way, you now know that you can because you have done it on your own at least once. And again, an example of a time it's easier to do it with help: changing guitar strings. My significant other knows how to change the strings on his guitar all by himself. But it's easier for me to come sit with him and just put my finger in one place, usually, maybe two, on the guitar while he's changing the strings. And that makes it easier. He could do it on his own. But if I'm available to help, it goes so much faster and is so much easier and ends up being so much cleaner because I helped him. Learning to know the difference. I would have to have a list of things to really give you, there's really, I'm trying to think up the best way to know how to tell the difference. Because I could come up with all sorts of examples. And I think really what it comes down to is would not doing this on your own potentially hinder you in the future? I guess that's a good measurement. Like, for instance, my tire changing story. What if you end up somewhere where you don't have cellular service and there's no one for miles who can help you? doing that on your own, at least knowing how to change your tire, is important. As where knowing how to change the guitar strings, you know, he knows how to do that on his own. But again, doing it with help doesn't hinder him in any way when I help him. Letting your young adults and teenagers go off on their own for the first time. Start learning how to pay the bills on their own. Start learning how to shop on their own. Learn how to pump gas on their own. If you're constantly doing it for them, it hinders them because they don't build up the confidence to know they can do it on their own, that they always have to call mommy or daddy when they don't know how to do something because they've not done enough on their own to know that they can do it on their own. If it's the first time they're being introduced to something new. Ultimately, does it hinder you? Does it hinder you? Whether that's asking for help or not asking for help. Does it some way hurt you now or in the future if you get help or don't get help? That's the measurement. And it should be pretty obvious. Helping him with the guitar strings doesn't make it so he then unlearns how to do the guitar strings. Not letting your kids, teenagers, young adults do things on their own makes it so they can't build up the confidence to know they can do things on their own. And it's time for them to learn that so that they can be functional, healthy adults. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I've been saying that a lot lately. Thank you for joining me for another video. I'm driving down my street, and I just finished. So, thank you for watching. Oh, I guess the last example I'll give for this last one is the fundraiser. Today, I made a video asking for help because we're making it happen, but it's slowing down a little bit. And I don't want that to happen because we're going to make this happen. But it is easier for me to make this fundraiser happen with help than trying to raise the money all on my own. So, it was a great example of asking for help rather than trying to do it on my own. I had to film the video on my own to put it out there, but it was of me asking for help because I know that we can do this. We just have to get enough eyes on it. And I need help doing that. It is easier for me to get more eyes, to get more donations with the help of others than it is for me to try to do it on my own. And it doesn't hurt me in any way to ask for help, to have people help me make it happen faster. Because I'm raising money to help somebody else because they really need it. That's another great example. So yeah. All right, I'm home. Time for dinner. May the energy you serve you well. Check out the links in the description. All the ways to donate, all the fundraiser videos that you can watch and share. And let's keep making our way through. Oh yeah, my mailing list is about to go out literally tonight or tomorrow morning. Right. That's what it is. Just kidding. See, making mistakes isn't a bad thing. And we can take ourselves not so seriously when we do. That's a great example of that. So, oh, I still have something in my eye. Also, mailing list. If you're not signed up for it, make sure you sign up for it because that's going out in the morning. I'm finishing it tonight. It'll go out in the morning. Then there's Patreon. Got all sorts of amazing, cool, free, and subscription-based stuff on Patreon. So if you're liking what you're seeing here, go check out Patreon. And then last but not least, I am still taking in new one-on-one clients because I've been so caught up with this fundraiser and I opened up some more spots, more than I normally do, that I'm still taking applications for new one-on-one clients. So those are all the links in the description. Remember to subscribe because I want my custom URL. And yeah, that's what I wanted to say last. All right, guys. May the energy you serve you well. Let's keep making our way through. You got this.